When people see an 86-year-old guy living by himself, they instantly give me that pity look. They assume I'm just lonely and miserable in this empty house. But let me ask you a real question. When was the last time you woke up and didn't have to please a single soul? No fake smiles, no forced small talk, and no walking on eggshells. You think being alone at my age is a sad story. It's a total luxury. The real tragedy is how many of you are losing your minds right now, putting up with toxic people and endless drama just because you're terrified of silence. Stay with me for a minute, because we need to talk about why being alone is actually a massive victory. When I first walked away from the daily grind 20 years ago, I fell into the exact same trap most folks do. I panicked. I thought retirement meant I had to fill up my calendar just to prove I was still relevant. I joined the local clubs, spent hours out on the golf course, and met up with old co-workers for lunches that were honestly nothing more than glorified gossip sessions. I forced myself to stay busy, saying yes to every single invitation because I was terrified of fading into the background or being forgotten. But a few years into it, I woke up one morning and it hit me hard. I was completely exhausted. And the worst part, I didn't even like half the people I was forcing myself to hang out with. I was spending my hard-earned freedom trying to impress folks who didn't truly care about me anyway. That was my wake-up call. I looked around my quiet house and realized the problem wasn't being alone. The problem was that I was still letting other people run my life, even though I didn't have a boss anymore. Let's do a quick reality check that most people completely ignore until it's way too late. Your energy is not an infinite resource. When you're in your 40s or 50s, your body and mind still have enough gas in the tank to deal with all the daily BS. You put up with the chronic complainers, the drama queens, and the folks who just love to hear themselves talk. You pay that politeness tax every single day because you think you have to. You smile when you want to scream, and you sit through mind-numbing conversations just to avoid looking rude. But at 86, my energy is the only real wealth I have left, and it is a strictly finite currency. I have to spend it wisely, and I refuse to let anyone counterfeit it. Think about how much of your own day is actively stolen by mandatory politeness. Think about the guilt you feel just because you want to shut your front door and be left entirely alone. We've been conditioned by society to believe that being constantly reachable and always accommodating makes us a good person. But let's be brutal here. A huge chunk of modern socializing is just an exercise in tolerating people you wouldn't voluntarily spend 5 minutes with if your life depended on it. They dump their anxiety, their gossip, and their noise into your personal space, and then they walk away, leaving you to clean up the emotional mess. When you finally stop paying that politeness tax, you see the world with total clarity. You realize that protecting your peace isn't a selfish act, it's basic survival. This brings me to the single biggest realization of my entire life, and it's something you can only truly understand when the noise around you finally stops. The greatest and most luxurious freedom in the second half of life does not lie in money, material wealth, or luxurious trips, but in absolute autonomy over one's own time and energy. Think about it. When you finally own your time, you finally own your life. People hear the word alone, and they automatically think it means sadness, isolation, or being forgotten by the world. But there is a massive difference between being lonely and choosing solitude. Loneliness is a painful craving for anyone to fill an empty void. Solitude, on the other hand, is a peaceful feast of being perfectly fine with your own company. I am 86 years old, and I am not lonely for a single second. My mind is filled with decades of good memories, hard-won lessons, and a deep sense of quiet that I wouldn't trade for all the money in the world. This porch right here, this is my kingdom. I don't need a boss, an annual review, or anyone's approval to decide how my day unfolds. If I want to wake up at dawn and just watch the fog roll in with a hot cup of coffee, I do it. If I want to spend the whole afternoon reading, or just staring at the grass doing absolutely nothing, nobody is going to stop me. No forms to fill out, no expectations to meet, no forced conversations. When you reach this stage of life, peace becomes an addiction. And once you taste what it feels like to live completely on your own terms, without any outside interference, you become fiercely protective of that calm. You realize that your own company is actually more than enough to fill a room. You don't have to wait until you're 86 to stop trading your peace for other people's comfort. You can start drawing those boundaries right now. Guard your time, protect your energy, and never feel guilty for choosing your own company. Life is just too short to spend it on mandatory politeness. If my reflections brought a little bit of calm to your busy day, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and sit with us a while longer. There's always a spot for you here. Thank you for stopping by the Silver Porch. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you when the sun sets again.